June 1944. The world waits for a ghost army to move. Operation Fortitude. A masterstroke of deception designed to point the Germans toward Calais.
But deception is a fragile thread. One break, and the world changes forever.
High above, German reconnaissance crews search for the truth amidst the fog of war. Thousands of signals. A haystack of lies hiding a single needle of reality.
He didn't look at the tanks. He looked at the radio traffic. Something about the silence around Calais was wrong. June 5th. Keller reaches a terrifying conclusion. The blow is coming to Normandy.
The answer was not hidden in a single code. It was hidden inside thousands of fragments.
Across the channel, an armada was already moving toward a single, bloody coastline.
In our timeline, the warning was buried. In this one, it reaches the door.
6 a.m. In this timeline, the warning is no longer ignored. The message reaches German command, and Normandy is placed on immediate alert.
They've broken through at Caen. I need the Panzer Lehr Division to counterattack immediately. Hold the line!
The order is given. Full mobilization toward Normandy.
Richter has his orders. The Atlantic Wall is no longer a shell. It is becoming a trap. The Panzer divisions, held in reserve, are finally unleashed.
They move under the cover of darkness, hours ahead of the Allied schedule. The paratroopers expected confusion. Instead, German forces were already moving. Omaha Beach, 6:30 a.m. The slaughter begins.
They've broken through at Caen. I need the Panzer Lehr Division to counterattack immediately. Hold the line!
The machines meant to lead the invasion became anchors, dragging the liberators into the sea. There was no high ground to take, only a killing ground prepared for months. The storm had swallowed the skies, leaving the invasion without the air cover it desperately needed. One by one, the ships carrying the invasion began to disappear into the smoke. The sea was their only way home. Now the rising tide was pushing them deeper into the trap. One by one, the ships carrying the invasion began to disappear into the smoke.
The beaches that were supposed to become symbols of liberation were becoming symbols of failure.
While some celebrated the German success, Keller understood what this victory could unleash. By nightfall, the greatest invasion in history had become a ghost story. Europe was still waiting, and the darkness had only begun. The panzers moved through France like a tide that refused to disappear. Behind the fog came the steel that the Allies had hoped would never arrive. For those who reached the shore, the nightmare was only beginning. The fleet that had carried liberation toward Europe was now turning away. The sea reclaimed the equipment, the plans, and the hopes of the failed invasion. Thousands of names became telegrams, and thousands of telegrams became grief. Operation Overlord was over. The invasion had failed. With the threat from the West reduced, German industry gained something it desperately needed: time. The rain of rockets did not stop. In this timeline, it intensified. August 1944. The Great Evacuation. The Second Dunkirk.
They were the lucky ones. They were leaving France behind.
The Western Front became a wall of silence, a stalemate that favored Germany. With the Western invasion stalled, the Soviet army saw an open road to the west. The red tide began to rise, unchecked. Britain was exhausted. The empire that had survived the war was beginning to retreat from history. 1945. The Red Army kept moving west. There was no Western army waiting at the Elbe. Warsaw fell. Then the Soviet advance continued west. The resistance was collapsing. Across the frozen fields, an army was finally running out of strength. By spring, the Soviet advance had reached the heart of Europe. The West was suddenly exposed. Paris, once the symbol of European civilization, began to empty. Europe was no longer being shaped by armies alone. It was being redrawn on a map. To end the war, America prepared a weapon the world had never seen. The day Europe disappeared began with the brightest flash humanity had ever created. Cities survived as ruins. The war had ended, but the consequences had only begun. By 1955, the division of Europe was no longer temporary. It had become a permanent frontier. I still remember Normandy. Before one decision changed the future of Europe. History is written by what happened, but sometimes the most terrifying story begins with what never did. August 1944. The Great Evacuation. The Second Dunkirk.
They were the lucky